All right. What issue has got me upset enough to complain on the internet today? Sensitivity readers. Authors and writers are now actually hiring specialists to make sure that their work doesn't offend anyone. Now, I happen to be an author. I don't make my living at it because no one's ever heard of me, but it's something I take very seriously. This is one that hit home. When I saw this, I couldn't believe that anyone would take this idea seriously, and then after I thought about it, well, of course they do. Is my novel offensive? How sensitivity readers are changing the publishing ecosystem and raising new questions about what makes a great book. Apparently what makes a great book is sensitivity? What the hell books are you reading? Self-help books? When Becky Albertalli published her first young adult novel, Simon vs. the Homo sapiens Agenda, with the HarperCollins imprint Balzer and Bray in 2015, she never expected it to be controversial. She'd worked for years as a clinical psychologist specializing in gender nonconforming children and LGBT teens and adults. Apparently she still needs a sensitivity reader, even though she's worked in the field. That's not good enough. Yet her book about a closeted gay kid whose love notes to a classmate fallen into the wrong hands contained a moment that rubbed readers the wrong way. Simon, the sweet but clueless protagonist, muses that girls have an easier time coming out than boys because their lesbianism strikes others as alluring. At a book signing, several people approached Albertalli to complain that the scene played too readily into a narrative they'd heard many times before. Online, commenters condemned the fetishization of queer girls in the book as offensive. Albertalli hadn't originally given the passage a second thought. The character was obviously unworldly elsewhere. He asserts that all Jews come from Israel, but in the latter exchange, readers pointed out, Simon's Jewish friend immediately corrects him. The lesbian line, a snippet from the narrator's interior monologue, receives no such rebuttal. Yet don't let the audience think on their own or try to understand your character as a character. Explain your social views to them, in length, at every opportunity, whether you like it or not. Albertalli felt crushed that her book had alienated members of the exact community she had hoped to reach. You wrote specifically for one community? Might want to try a broader audience. When she began to craft her second novel, The Upside of Unrequited, about twin sisters navigating the shoals of high school romance, she was determined not to make the same mistake. And so before her manuscript went to print, she reached out to a group of sensitivity readers. I love the way sensitivity readers is in quotation marks there. These advising angels, part fact-checkers, part cultural ambassadors, are new additions to the book publishing ecosystem. Either hired by individual authors or by publishing houses, sensitivity readers are members of a minority group tasked specifically with examining manuscripts for hurtful, inaccurate, or inappropriate depictions of that group. On the site Writing in the Margins, which launched in 2012, author Justina Ireland articulates the goal of this new fleet of experts: to point out the internalized bias and negatively charged language that can arise when writers create outside of their experiences. In April of last year, Ireland built a public database where freelance sensitivity readers can list their name, contact information, and expertise. These areas of special knowledge are generally rooted in identity: queer woman, bisexual mixed race, East Asian, Muslim, cross-dressing plumber, lion tamer, Pakistani politician. How deep does this go? As well as in personal histories of mental illness, abuse, and neglect, poverty, disability, or chronic pain. This fucking article's giving me chronic pain. Now, here's the part that maybe not everyone is going to know. But there was a big push for more diversity in books. We need more diverse books, I think was the hashtag. And it was mostly about children's books, but it spilled over into every other genre of fiction. And I know that because as a small-time author, I would get onto forums with other small-time authors, onto sites where we would discuss our work and things. And this is an issue that came up several times, and it bothered me that out of virtually everyone I spoke to online, that I think I ran into one maybe 2 other people that saw it the way that I did. People were very worried about this. How do I add more diversity to my manuscript? How can I be certain that the characters are represented accurately? And I kept explaining it. Write individuals, and you don't have to worry about that. No, 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 you don't understand. A number of characters I've written are not even physically described all that well. And I would say that, the main character in such and such a book, I don't even say whether he's white or black or Hispanic. He can be any of them. The response every single time was, that's not good enough. Because if your character represents some minority group, there's going to be something that's going to clue people into that identity. Why? What exactly are you telling me? To identify my character with stereotypes, but only certain stereotypes, not those negative ones. There are 2 big problems with the concept of the sensitivity reader. The first is that people should not associate themselves specifically with characters that resemble themselves in these superficial ways. Black people should not associate themselves with black characters, white people should not associate themselves with white characters, and so on. If I read a book with a character who is a white male but who is a upper crust, good-looking teetotaler, and then there's another character who's a black lesbian who lives in a trailer house, drinks too much beer, has trouble getting a date, and has trouble keeping the weight off, I'm going to associate with the black lesbian, not with the white guy. A character's strength or lack thereof, a character's losses or successes, these are the things that you associate with. You should be able to associate with a character who's a robot or an alien, let alone a human being who's a different color. What experiences do you have that connect you with other human beings? The experience of being white or black? No. The experience of having been in a car crash. The experience of having a dog. The experience of losing a loved one. The experience of having your life threatened. The experience of mowing the lawn. The experience of looking up at the night sky. These are the experiences that unite us. The second problem with sensitivity reader is that there is no single experience that you can ascribe to any of these particular identities. Because the experience that one person has being black is not the same as the experience another person has being black. Similarly, the Jewish experience is not universal to all Jews. The Muslim experience is not universal to all Muslims. What you will go through as a gay man in one life is not the same as what you will go through as a gay man in another life. There is no way for one sensitivity reader of any particular type to tell you that you're getting it all right, because they can only see it through their own experience. But aren't they tuned into it better? No, that was the whole point. You are writing outside of your experience, so you send it to someone who has experienced it, but they haven't. You see? They cannot have a universal human experience, not even within that group. So why bother? There is no model to get it right. There is no way, there is no template that you can assign to it to make sure that it fits the unoffensive stereotype. And that's what it comes down to. There is a particular, certain stereotype that you're supposed to adhere to. So I reject the concept of the sensitivity reader altogether. I will never use one, because there are certain things that are universal to all people, no matter who they are. They all hurt. They all fall in love. They all are afraid. They all experience successes and failures. And if you understand that much of human nature, then that's all you need. Write a character who is unique, who is that character, and you will have done it right. The human experience is what you're looking for in a character. It's that simple. No sensitivity reader can give you that.